1. What is the primary purpose of the System Global Area (SGA) in an Oracle database instance? A. To store permanent database objects and user data on physical disk storage. B. To provide shared memory structures for database operations and data caching. C. To manage individual user session information in a dedicated memory area. D. To handle network communication protocols between client and server applications. 2. Which background process is responsible for writing modified data blocks from the database buffer cache to data files? rman performs cleanup of failed user processes and releases their resources. B. smon handles instance recovery and cleans up temporary segments automatically. C. dbwn writes dirty buffers from memory to the physical data files. D. lgur manages the writing of redo entries to online redo log files. 3. When performing a complete database backup, which type of backup captures all used data blocks, regardless of whether they have changed since the last backup? A. Incremental level 0 backup copies all blocks that have been used at least once. B. Differential incremental backup copies only blocks changed since the last backup at any level. C. Cumulative incremental backup copies blocks changed since the last level 0 backup. D. Archive log backup captures only the redo information for recovery purposes. 4. What is the maximum number of control files recommended by Oracle for a production database? A. 1 control file placed on the fastest available disk subsystem. B. 2 control files distributed on separate physical disk drives. C. At least 3 control files placed on separate physical disks for redundancy. D. 5 control files distributed across all available storage systems. 5. Which data dictionary view provides information about all tablespaces in the database, including their status and size? A. Tablespace shows dynamic performance information about mounted tablespaces. B. DBA tablespaces displays comprehensive information about all tablespaces in the database. C. All tablespaces shows only tablespaces accessible to the current user. D. User tablespaces displays tablespaces owned by the current database user. 6. What is the primary function of the LGWR log writer background process? A. Writing archived redo logs to designated backup storage destinations. B. Writing redo log entries from the log buffer to online redo log files. C. Writing checkpoint information and sequence numbers to control files. D. Writing data blocks from buffer cache to data files during checkpoints. 7. In Oracle Database, what does the archive log mode enable? A. Automatic backup of all database files according to a predefined schedule. B. Compression of all redo log files to conserve disk storage space. C. Archiving of filled online redo log files before they can be overwritten. D. Direct writing of committed transactions to archived log destinations. 8. Which Oracle utility is specifically designed for logical backup and recovery operations? A. rman provides block-level backup and recovery with catalog integration. B. Data pump exports and imports database objects at the logical level. C. SQL Loader loads data from external files into database tables. D. ADRCI manages the automatic diagnostic repository for problem diagnosis. 9. What is the purpose of a temp tablespace in Oracle Database? To store temporary user session data that must persist across multiple sessions. B. To hold sort operations, hash joins, and temporary table data during queries. C. To maintain backup copies of critical system and data tablespaces. D. To store rollback segments that support transaction consistency and recovery. 10. Which privilege is required for a user to connect to an Oracle Database instance? A. Connect is a predefined role that includes basic connection capabilities. B. Resource is a role that provides privileges for creating database objects. C. Create session is the system privilege that allows database connection. D. DBA is an administrative role with full database management privileges. 11. What is the primary difference between a role and a privilege in Oracle Database security? A. Roles cannot be granted to other roles, but privileges can be assigned to roles. B. A role is a named collection of privileges, while a privilege grants specific permission. C. Roles are permanent database objects, but privileges expire after a defined period. D. Privileges can only be granted by sys, but roles can be granted by any user. 12. Which component of the Oracle instance stores parse SQL statements to enable reuse and improve performance? A. Database buffer cache stores data blocks retrieved from data files in memory. B. Shared pool library cache stores parsed SQL and PLS SQL for statement reuse. C. Large pool provides memory for backup operations and shared server processes. D. Java pool allocates memory for Java stored procedures and application execution. 13. When configuring the listener.aura file, which parameter specifies the protocol address on which the listener accepts connection requests? A. Service name identifies the database service that clients want to access. B. Listener address is not a valid parameter in the listener configuration file. C. Address defines the protocol, host, and port for incoming client connections. D. Protocol handler manages the communication between different network protocols. 14. What is the purpose of the undo tablespace in Oracle database? A. To store backup copies of deleted data for permanent historical reference. B. To provide read consistency and support transaction rollback capabilities. C. To hold temporary sort operations and intermediate query results. D. To store system audit information and security-related database events. 15. Which recovery scenario requires the database to be in archive log mode? A. Complete recovery after an instance failure due to power outage. B. Point-in-time recovery of the entire database to a specific moment. C. Recovery from a statement failure caused by syntax errors. D. Automatic instance recovery performed after an unexpected database crash. 16. What is the function of the PMON, process monitor, background process? Writing redo log entries sequentially to the online redo log files. B. Performing checkpoint operations by updating data file headers. C. Cleaning up failed user processes and releasing their allocated resources. D. Archiving filled online redo log files to backup storage locations. 17. Which type of Oracle Net configuration file is stored on the client machine to resolve service names? A. Listener.aura defines the listening endpoints on the database server. bnsnames.aura maps service names to network addresses for client connections. C. SQLnet.aura specifies general Oracle Net configuration parameters. D. Protocol.aura manages the specific protocol settings for network communication. 18. What happens when all online redo log groups have been filled and the database is in no archive log mode? A. The database automatically shuts down to prevent data loss. B. The oldest redo log group is overwritten and database transactions continue. C. New transactions are suspended until disk space becomes available. D. An alert is generated, but the database takes no automatic action. 19. Which data dictionary view shows information about current database sessions? ABA users displays information about all database user accounts. BV session shows information about current active and inactive database sessions. CDBA sessions is not a valid data dictionary view in Oracle database. DV process displays information about currently active operating system processes. 20. What is the primary purpose of a database checkpoint? A. To back up all data files to a designated secondary storage location. B. To synchronize all data file headers with current information in the control file. C. To signal DBWN to write modified buffers and update file headers. D. To archive all filled redo log files before they can be reused. 21. Which initialization parameter determines the maximum number of processes that can connect to the database? A. Sessions parameter specifies the maximum number of concurrent user sessions. B. Processes parameter limits the total number of operating system processes. C. Max connections is not a valid Oracle database initialization parameter. D. User processes defines the maximum number of user processes, excluding background. What type of failure occurs when a user executes an invalid SQL statement? A. Statement failure happens when a single SQL statement cannot complete successfully. B. User process failure occurs when the client application terminates unexpectedly. C. Instance failure results from the abnormal termination of the database instance. D. Media failure is caused by physical problems with disk storage devices. 23. Which Oracle database component is responsible for automatically resolving instance failures? A. rman automatic recovery performs scheduled backup and recovery operations. B. Flashback database enables rapid rewind to a previous point in time. C. Instance recovery using SMON applies redo and rolls back uncommitted transactions. D. Media recovery process restores and recovers damaged or lost data files. 24. What is the purpose of the Fast Recovery Area FRA in Oracle Database? A. To speed up query execution by caching frequently accessed data blocks. B. To provide centralized disk storage for backup files and archived logs. C. To store temporary objects created during complex sorting operations. D. To maintain copies of the control file for fast instance startup. 25. Which command is used to start an Oracle database instance in no-mount mode? A. Startup no-mount initializes the instance without mounting the control file. B. Startup mount starts the instance and mounts the database. C. Startup open starts the instance, mounts, and opens the database. D. Startup force shuts down and restarts the instance immediately.